Ooh, that's all I have for music. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the LIC podcast. I am Matt. That is Jose.
Hello.
Here's Hannah.
Hello.
And back again, Kimmy.
Hello.
And today we watched 2019's Netflix original, The Platform, in our ongoing attempt to make Jose and now Kimmy as uncomfortable as humanly possible. So, friends, how'd it go?
Well, if that was the
Wait, we were supposed to watch Osmosis Jones today.
Yeah.
I want to start by telling everybody that on the drive here, I even said, no, we had pulled up to the house and I was like, it's really nice to come here and not have any anxiety about what we're going to watch. I'm like really excited because and you guys, I'm sure we'll hear later on when we do watch Osmosis Jones. I was really stoked.
Sorry.
I was also really stoked to watch Osmosis Jones.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's my take on this movie.
We had a lapse in communication.
Wow. What a 180.
Yeah.
This is not Osmosis Jones, everybody.
No, most of it happens outside the human body.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
you can see some parts of the human body.
The inside's on the
Yeah.
outside, for quite a bit. So,
Oh,
yeah.
damn.
what are you thinking? Fresh off, we finished 10 minutes ago.
Gross.
Fair.
It was a
Gross.
inventive movie, but I feel like the allegories were very in your face,
Mm.
a lot. And at the same time, it's like it was very nihilistic at the end. It was very strange. I mean, we could unpack that as it goes along, but that's really the first things that I'm thinking about. It's like, because it was very captivating at first. For like the first and mid section was very captivating because I did not understand what was going on. But then slowly but surely, I came to realize that we're not actually anywhere. Like we're just literally in an allegory. We're not in a world. Like we're like like everything's ruled by this thing called the administration, and everything is just reliant on putting out this moral, and I think it's a little bit to the film's detriment. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's something about I guess you're right insofar as like this is definitely not a real place. Like
Yeah.
the elevator or the platform rather is semi supernatural. I mean, it doesn't appear to like something like that wouldn't work in real life, right? And I don't know. I can't think of any physics thing that would do that, but
Unless it's like magnetic. That's the only thing I could think of.
yeah,
Like
magnet
that like
rock.
superconducting thing that like they can make it so like things float, and then they could just flip the polarities and then just have it.
Flip the flare.
Yeah, exactly. Using Doctor Who terminology.
Yeah. Also, this like area is, I mean, the construction of whatever this built. Like, if you try to imagine what this looks like in your head, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
right?
any sense.
And there's sinks and toilets on every level. There's lights somehow, and it's how many hundreds of feet underground, just straight down, with no other way. How do these people get in and out to move people around at night? You
They
know,
have to
like,
take the platform.
Yeah, do you
Right.
think Yeah, I mean, like, I guess we can just have fun with it at this point, right? It's like do you guys think that certain sections of that building are in the air and some of it's underground, or you think it's just like level 0 is the ground and then it just goes down from there?
Well, it's like a cement building. So if level 0 was the ground and they just decided, you know what, no windows on level 0, that could be possible.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a tall building that it would have to be probably a little bit of both. A little bit underground, a little bit above ground, maybe half and half or something like
I mean,
that.
the depth doesn't bother me, because it's like what, like 20, 30 feet, you know what I mean, from ceiling to floor for each thing.
I think he said
And
15 feet at one point.
15 feet, okay, and then it's like about another like 5 feet worth of cement, between
Mhm.
each chunk.
Yeah, very thick.
Yeah,
floors
so
and
you
walls.
multiply that. Yeah, please do that. Like you multiply 15 by 303, right?
333 plus another big dip. right?
Sure,
To
yeah.
get to the very bottom. But
We're
yeah, we
taking
could just
like
do 333.
quite a cannonball into the weeds.
I mean,
before
I don't know. I
anything.
mean, again, like the movie doesn't give me a lot in terms of world building to play with, and that's
because it's confined.
one of my bigger thing. That's one of my like in terms of like playing around with a story like this. I mean, what I like is like trying to extend my thought past the first characters, right? And then just think about like the repercussions of like what does this mean for the world? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like if we're thinking about like Splice, like my favorite part about that conversation was thinking about like what if the monster did like manage to get away and become like and then like have babies and become like the lagoon monster and like like have it become the
Yeah.
or like terrorize other people. Like the movie lends itself to that, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a genuine world that exists outside of the confines of like what we're being shown on the screen, and that's captivating, like because it allows me to just keep thinking about it even as it goes along. This one, unfortunately, it's like, okay, yeah, like it would be really nice if there wasn't social inequality. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that would be
That would
really
be good
nice.
for the world.
Yeah. But at the same time, again, where the nihilism comes in is the fact that the movie just kind of slowly and very bloodily comes to realize that, oh, that actually can't happen. like it's almost like the movie did like the movie was written like on the spot, and as they were trying to write the movie and be like, yeah, and then we're gonna really teach the moral. Oh no, it's not working. Like they keep going down and like people keep fighting them, and it's like, how are they gonna like this is just one day, how are they gonna get up again the next day and like try to reinforce the rule, right?
No, I mean, I think what this movie does, and the thing that I like about movies that kind of take this format and they're super confined and they're super specific about the situation, is thinking through like what would you do in that situation
Okay.
if you're in the platform, especially like day one, you wake up with crazy roommate number one.
I'm gonna have to take some issue with that, with trying to take it in that direction though, because the movie kind of doesn't let you.
Oh, we're gonna
You
have
know,
a short podcast.
because no, I mean, I'm sure that there's still plenty to talk about, but
Mhm.
it's like you think about the protagonist, right? Goran or whatever his name is, and it's like, why did he come here? Like he placed himself in here,
Mhm.
and but we don't really understand anything else about his life outside of the confines of the situation, aside from the fact that he likes to smoke. And it's like, what would drive an individual in this society to have to use the pit as a recourse to get a diploma, or
What kind of diploma was it again?
I don't even know.
Like,
And
what
apparently
the
he's gonna
fuck
get
good
2 of them.
is it?
Yeah.
Was that his
anyway?
GED?
Yeah, no matter what it is, like
He's gonna get a working permit.
Oh my god.
how useful is the pit diploma? Like you put that on your resume. They're like, so what'd you do? And you're like, I don't know. I killed some people. Like,
Gross.
how does that benefit you?
And also, how is that
Resilient?
able, like, how are you
Positive?
able to actually like connect that into like an allegory of like real life and like inequality when you are the one who chose to be integrated into the system of the pit? Like he could be living his life doing something else, you know what I mean? Actually going to school to get that degree as opposed to trying to fast track his
Actually
ass
learning
for
something.
6 months.
But this
You know?
only takes 6 months.
Yeah, I guess,
Then you're done.
Fast track program.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, because in real life you don't get to choose, like you're imposed upon by, the predestination that is your parents' socioeconomic position, and on top of their socioeconomic position, like their disposition about like how do they spend their money, how will they teach you how to spend your money, like how will they teach you how to treat people below you and above you, and it's like all of that stuff comes prepackaged with the world essentially, and it just doesn't click in terms of like trying to make this.
Oh, your hang up is like the Mother situation where
What do you
they well, when we watched Mother, you were like, well, this is obviously a Bible rhetoric, and we went through how specific it was, and it didn't leave us a lot of room for imagination talking about it after that because it was super clear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of the same issue that I'm having here. Not like the mother in the movie, like, but like the movie
Oh,
Mother. There was
got it.
Yeah, there was another movie that we watched that.
I was like, listen, I know I told you guys last time I definitely did not fully read the Bible and remember most of it at all. but I
That's okay.
don't remember whatever that would have been. I was like,
I don't remember the whole.
Yeah, I was like, wow, there's lots and lots of parts to the Bible I didn't understand.
It's like an inverted Tower of Babel.
What's that? We were watching Love on the Spectrum a couple of weeks ago, and someone said, I read the Bible and I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, honestly, like the more and more I'm thinking about it, like the less this like allegory makes sense, right? Because it's like because initially, right, the whole point of them was like, okay, we're gonna try to take this food all the way down and we're going to forcefully ration it all the way down. But the system itself showed that the system is even too big for them to even try to do that anyway. So it's like so there's like no hope.
Well, the
But the
hope
message.
is the message. It's the panna cotta or the little girl, depending on. Yeah. Okay. So that's a good. We should go right there. Like,
Mhm.
how do we explain the end of this movie? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Well, I assume what it is.
Kimmy,
Oh, please, Hannah.
decipher it away.
I mean, I think the initial message, panna cotta, we're going to have to talk about what that is because I have no idea what that is. It looked like a cake to me.
I think it's like a pudding.
It looked like a cake pudding.
It's called panna cotta.
panna cotta.
Yeah.
And it's just
Cotta.
and it literally just means cooked cream. It's
Ah.
sweetened, creamed, thickened with gelatin, and molded.
So I kind of get, I mean, as much as I think sending that back up is not a very strong message, that seems like very much like a stick it to the man kind of thing. Like, we don't even want all your food or something like that. But with sending the little girl back up, that might actually yield something because the lady who had worked for the administration said a bunch of times, no children under 16. They're very, very strict about it. And if they found out that there was a child in there, they might feel the need to make sure there's not any more or take some actions or make something stricter. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It might trigger a change, is what I'm saying.
See, but therein lies the issue again. It's like what made the child be in there, right? And is the
So-
child a manufactured aspect of the building where it's like, does the system actually set down like manufactured goals like this, right? We'll be like, oh yeah, there's a little girl at the bottom, and then just send her right on up, and we'll get the message.
Idiots. Why didn't you read the paperwork?
We get
like a
it.
video
We see
game.
where we went wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
No, my theory on it is not specified how long that lady who rides the platform has been in the platform. And clearly
Yes.
people are fucking. So I think it's possible that she became pregnant and had a baby in the pit.
Mhm. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. How would the child survive to that degree?
Breastfeeding.
Holy shit. What?
How? Okay, taking a little bit for. How does the kid survive?
How does
At all.
how does a kid get to
Have you
To
seen the
no-
mom?
the
She's a
last level.
badass.
Yeah,
She
but the
killed
mom's
like
not with her.
1,000 people.
So does she just go down to the level where her kid is every day and then hang out and then?
I think she got separated from her kid at some. I'm totally speculating. I don't know.
I mean, we all
Listen.
I think she got separated and she's
Pick
trying
up the
to get
threads that
back, but
that
she
it gives
keeps
you.
getting ripped off the table.
Oh, okay. So maybe, so when they find her, right, she's like hiding under the bed. So what if, and this sounds very, trust me, this is dumb. But what if, like, when,
Trust me.
yeah,
We're trying to
I'm just
help
gonna
the
say it.
movie at this point.
Yeah, but what if, like, when they got separated, her daughter was accidentally left behind because maybe she'd been hiding, and her daughter perhaps was left behind at the bottom floor each time. Like maybe that's part of it.
Well, the reason
Mm-hmm.
she travels is looking for her daughter, so I think we can assume that they probably
But how
weren't.
else
traveling
could you
together.
safely get to the bottom of the
She probably
pit?
woke up on the bottom, right?
Well, that's what I mean. And then, like, I think maybe that's where she got separated from her daughter. How else can you safely get to the bottom of the pit besides riding the platform?
Yeah, pretty ridiculous for us not to get any backstory on that.
Because I can't think of any other way to do it. Like, if she knows, maybe she knows where her daughter is, you know?
I mean,
Maybe that's one of the
Keeps
reasons why
going.
she, like, kills one person, wakes up, kills him, and throws him down.
she wants to end up with her daughter in the same room.
And at least feed her daughter. What?
Nothing. That's a I mean, yeah, but then how does the kid survive? Like,
The
In
body that
interim.
the person that she kills or whatever, body being thrown down.
Oh, the little girl just eats the
Because
fresh
she's at the
corpses
bottom,
of it.
right?
Well, that's just it though. Is if we're assuming the little girl was born in the pit, she's been surviving like that for how long? How long has she not had a roommate? Nobody's killed her?
And she seems pretty healthy.
She does look pretty healthy.
She was very clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that child was very clean.
On floor 200?
And
What was it?
33.
333.
Well, I guess there's multiple ways to think about it, right? In terms of like the anchor theme in the movie, aside from like the allegory about wealth inequality, is like the Don Quixote section, right? And I've never read Don Quixote, but I do know that it's a book about a guy who essentially gets brain fever and pretends to be a superhero. Like the guy becomes Don Quixote essentially, and he has a sidekick named Panza. I think that's his name. Like it means like a fat man or something. And the guy, he's lucid, but the fat guy, he's lucid, but he's like playing like along with Don Quixote because he's like, you know, he gets things from him, I believe. And like eventually Don Quixote, like he goes off and he like quote unquote fights these windmills that because he thinks that they're like these giant monsters, and he thinks that he's done like these great things and stuff like that. But then at the end of the book, he ends up just back home and he like snaps out of it and he realizes that no, he's not a superhero. You know, like
And he hasn't done any good.
mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what this is about. It's a retelling of Don Quixote.
I mean, it's possible because I mean the guy did go in there like the first guy said, very idealistic. Like just like the administrator lady, like she thought that there were only 200 levels and that there was enough food if they rationed, right? So she actually was broken of her assumption that the system worked well enough to, and it's us, and you know, like that are, you know, us as in the inmates inside of the prison that are fucking it up. When in reality, the game's rigged from the beginning, essentially.
That's one thing that I wonder about when I watch this movie is, do you think that putting a system like this in place would turn people into this?
Into what exactly?
Well, for me, like, I understand, like, starving to death, eating each other. I would expect that kind of thing to start happening in desperation. But,
Mhm.
like the pissing on the food. Like,
Mhm.
Yes.
why?
I do believe people would do it.
Contempt.
Bitterness.
Yeah, bitterness mostly.
Well, and it probably only has to happen once to kick it off. Somebody has to get their food pissed on or spit on or something like that. And then those people are angry after that and they feel entitled to treat those below in the same fashion. Because they're like, well, I have to get treated like that while I'm down there. So why shouldn't you?
That's
And on
exactly what that. What's his first roommate's name?
Old man.
Yeah.
I
That's
can just say
exactly
old man.
what old man was saying in the beginning. You know, like he pisses on. He's literally saying like the people up there will do it because they're up there, you know, and the people down there take it and understand it because they're down there.
Yeah,
Mm.
Trimagazi is his name, so we can call him Trima, I guess. I don't know.
I
Trima.
prefer
Old man.
Old man.
please.
Yeah, a lot better to understand.
Old man, crazy
Tree, but
lady.
Old
And-
people just call me old.
What
Wait,
was
wait,
that
wait,
guy's
wait.
name? The last guy?
Baharat or something like that. Hold on. Yeah, Baharat is the
Baharat?
name. Yep.
But would Crazy Lady be the platform rider or the one who brought a dog into the pit?
Oh, the dog lady.
Oh no, she's the worst. Yeah,
Oh,
she
my
deserves
God.
everything
We can
she
all
got.
agree.
and
Oh my
worse.
god.
Yeah,
The
not
only one who
only.
didn't deserve that is the dog.
I'm really glad she died twice because I mean, not only was she killed in terms of like her psychology and thinking that like she was working for a system that like was like kind of even half okay, you know, but then also just hanging herself.
3 times if you count the cancer.
Yeah, I guess it's true. She was dying quite the slow death already, even prior to.
I can't help but wonder, like, I know she loved the dog and she doesn't come off as this type of character, but why on earth would you bring a dog into that when you know what's going on in there unless you want a backup plan for eating it?
It's not a bad idea.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the only thing that would make sense.
Or a deterrent for someone to not eat you and eat your dog instead.
Well, then you don't bring a
What
wiener dog.
the
You bring
fuck?
a
Yeah, that is the worst dog for that. Oh my
He's
god.
vicious. He's vicious.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, they'd probably eat your dog first.
It's probably she's just so mad at the world for
I mean, they
getting
definitely ate the
cancer.
dog first. What's
Yeah.
her name? Like, just, oh, God. ate everything.
Without even a reason, too. Like, she rode the table down. Wasn't it floor 6? Like, you've had plenty to eat. Did you just wanted a midnight snack and ate that woman's dog?
She's it's kind of like what's that? I mean, once you have human meat, can you ever go back? Really?
Dog meat isn't human meat.
Well, it's probably
They weren't on floor 6. They were like on 20 something, weren't they?
They were
Well,
on
which
floor
one?
6 when her dog got eaten.
Oh, I thought
No,
floor
no.
6.
Floor 6 was where he was with Baharat. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
floor,
where they start off with a lot of food.
Oh.
and that couple that was
Yeah.
fucking upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
They were level
What
5.
floor were they on?
They
I think they was like
were
30 or
on
20.
level
They were pretty
33.
high up.
Yeah.
They were on level 33,
There
and
was
then they got
food,
sent to
though.
level
That's what I'm
202.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was still
202.
plenty of food at level 33
Yeah,
still.
so I don't understand why that lady's dog got eaten overnight. No one was starving.
I wonder if there's like, I wish I would have caught the numbers that the old man gave again in terms of like how they shuffled him, because I'm pretty sure that like the shuffling has to do with like breaking your psyche to a particular degree. Because I'm sure everybody comes in with the good intention of being like, okay, like here I might eat a lot, but I'm not gonna piss on people's food or whatever, right? And then slowly but surely, like maybe you start off at 7 the first time and then get dropped down to 70, and then that shell shock, and then being put in the middle again, and then being put at the very triple digit number, right? Like just continuously shuffles your psyche as to like, I can't really trust in anyone.
What
There's
shocked
also-
me was that, like, I didn't realize at the beginning of the movie how lucky that guy had been. The biggest, like, the lowest floor, I should say, that he had been on was, like,
Old man?
133. Yeah.
171 or 172, I think is what he said.
They went there together.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
what a little
did.
bitch.
His was 133 before that, his biggest
He's
one.
like, I'm old. I can't fast. I'm old.
I will fast for 8 days, but
I will
that is
eat
it.
your skin, and you'll be fine with it. Don't worry.
You might live.
And really quick to something you guys said much earlier, like when they gas them at night, I don't think it's one night. They've got to be out for a full day. It has
you gotta
to
have
be
the most
24
efficient
hours.
team.
Because
Yeah,
it looks like they
definitely.
redo their beddings and every time too.
Well, and how do you move that many people around?
Yeah, exactly.
When the
It's got
only
its
way,
own-
there's not stairs, the only thing is the platform.
And what a bunch of bullshit that like people don't wake up at the same time. You know what I mean? Like if you're
Yeah, that's fucked.
like if anesthesia or whatever hits you hard, you know what I mean? You're always on the back foot every single
you just
single
wake
time.
up tied up.
Yeah, that
every
Goran
single
guy,
time.
he apparently has quite, you know what I mean, like some sort of issue where like he's always the last one
Yeah,
to
he's
wake
always
up.
the second one to wake up.
Because the old man was able to tie his ass up entirely by the time he woke up. That
Super
lady was
thoroughly.
able to commit suicide and he didn't even like get to the point where he heard, part of it. Like,
Yeah.
That's good.
yeah, it's oof.
Well, yeah,
going-
not even just commit suicide. Like, in order for her to do that, she has to like fashion a rope type thing. She has to like come to terms with like level 202 or whatever in the first place.
She probably also
10
screamed.
hours.
Also, it just doesn't. I mean, what's the symbolism with everybody bringing their own thing? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? What is that about? I mean, like some people brought surfboards.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
just like a
let's
fun
talk about
desert
the
island
things.
thing. You know, it's like desert
You could
island.
bring one thing.
Yes, I'd bring Don Quixote, the book.
But I guess, I mean, fuck. I mean, is this in? Yeah, so it's like a hybrid then of like a correctional situation and like a
It has to
social
be a
experiment,
hybrid.
right? Because the old man manslaughtered someone, right? So they're like, okay, you either go to the psych place or 1 year here, which is a really it was like what?
Fuck, why didn't you take the psych ward?
Mhm.
It seems way easier.
But maybe there's no sentence at the psych ward. There's a sentence at the
Oh.
pit.
That's true.
That's-
He has to survive a year.
Is that what he
Lily,
said? A year?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering. There's
That's what I saw on Wikipedia as I'm flipping through the
The gospel.
synopses.
there's something you said about like there's this thing that I did you ever play that Frostpunk game?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's like this mechanic in that game where it starts off and it gets colder and colder as the game goes on. And you don't really have any idea of how cold it's going to get. And it really surprises you at the end with how terribly, awfully cold it gets and how like hard it is to survive that. And it added this really cool aspect of the game, this like psychological dread that you're talking about, that like it applies itself to the pit as well. Like if you, no matter what level you wake up on, when you wake up there the first time, if you ask your cellmate questions like what's his name did, and you figure out like, oh shit, there's way more to go than this, like, yeah, that's gotta really tear you apart, right?
Oh, 100%, especially because everybody's like an unreliable narrator in terms of like what they know, right?
Yeah.
Because you could
Only their experience.
yeah, you'll only ever know exactly how much your cellmate knows. And
Yeah, that lady worked there and she didn't even know how many floors there were.
Yeah, how does that happen?
yeah, honestly, you said that they were trying to make a platform too?
I don't know. I saw like a picture of what looked like a thumbnail for Platform 2. Yeah.
What does that movie
Oh my
consist of?
God.
Like,
That one's gonna be nothing but world building and like just lore dumping essentially.
All the
yeah,
answers
you're
that
gonna
we could
feel
possibly
silly.
ask, yeah.
Yeah, just in a huge effort to make us feel silly right now for
Yeah, because it does leave a ton of unanswered questions. Like, what kind of universe does this happen in? What is the necessity
Yeah,
for something like
exactly.
this?
It just felt more like a tale. You know what I mean? Like it just exists in its own little pocket dimension, and this like tower thing is just floating in the void.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
short story.
Yeah,
Oh, I looked it up. It's about a mile and a quarter mile
that's not that bad.
tall, or
Tall, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder how deep is like the largest like missile silo. I wonder, you know, like because I wonder if there's like because I know that they have like silos that like are dug into mountains and stuff like that. You know, so you could start from a pretty high elevation and like crack down.
Also, I feel like I have to like when I picture the building when I'm like watching this movie, I picture it as like this is like a leg of the building or something like that. Because also what we have is like all of these gourmet chefs cooking meals, and I have to assume they're not like craned up to the top floor.
Yeah, that's why I'm assuming that level 0 is the ground floor, right? So it's like you'd come into work at ground 0, and that's pretty much where you start off, and then everything
And you cook
descends
the
down.
food down there.
And then, well, no, you cook the
The
food.
whole
You cook the
feast.
food in the main building. You know what I mean? So like the main building is ground 0, right? And then it descends downward.
Oh,
That's
but
how
there's
I'm
windows
picturing
in
it.
the rooms.
But I mean, those could just be. I mean, those could be artificial.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, because it's just white light, isn't it? I mean, as far as I can remember, I didn't see like
You
any
can't see
sky
anything out
or
of it,
anything.
no.
They already have the technology to do whatever it is they're doing with this floating platform.
Right. So
so yeah, when magic exists, there you
mhm.
go. Little frustrating.
You mean magnets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
magnet.
How do they work?
A lot of
It's magic.
You flip the top magnet upside down.
Hey,
Yeah, and what's
Oh, yeah.
going on with the bottom of that building? And where did
Yeah.
Guillermo walk off to? Or whatever his fucking name is.
Gourmand.
Yeah.
the snail guy.
Gor-
The
Yeah.
G-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, SKG.
Yeah, I've been waiting for us to talk about the ending. I don't get it. You guys, I feel real dense. I feel like I'm supposed to be more cultured watching this film because I'm like, no, just don't get it. Just don't. Did he die?
Yeah.
Is that
He
that
died.
what we're like? That's what we're supposed to understand that as? Is he like walked away with his dead friend?
Well, that's how I
His dead friend.
quote unquote it's
I
friend
guess-
in quotation.
I guess cannibal buddies. Yeah. At this
Yeah.
point.
That would not be who I would want to pick me up after I die.
Yeah. Why couldn't he picture the black guy? I mean, he seemed like a nice guy, and he's dead too. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they seem way more buddy than the old man ever seemed. You know.
Maybe he viewed him as some type of a mentor for the pit.
Maybe he was a message.
Aw.
No, but the little girl, she's the message. Oh wait, but the
The
dessert.
panna
Wait,
cotta
but
is the
dessert.
message, and then she ate the panna cotta, so then she became the message.
Oh. No, she's the bearer of the message, and that's why he can't bear the message.
hmm
So he's
The
got-
panna cotta made it to the bottom. The most delectable dish made it all the way to the bottom. It was eaten by a little girl who's not even supposed to be there, and a lot of people died.
And now the system's broken.
Yeah. The bad
Wealth
guys
inequality
lost.
doesn't exist anymore. Now it can be a normal prison
they have
with
to close the
horizontal
pit.
cells. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so they were saying that like your favorite dish, real quick, because of the picture that I can see right now, your favorite dish is included in the menu. People really pick like, I love a 7-tiered chocolate cake.
Who picked a pineapple?
Well,
Like,
to
A
be-
pineapple.
but
for my favorite meal, I would like a pineapple.
Again, though, I
And
mean, like
someone
people are
pick an
going in
apple.
blind, right? They don't.
I
They
know.
don't know. Aside from the fact that they say that it's gonna be on the, they'll apply it on the
Oh,
menu.
on the menu.
Mm-hmm. I mean, did that table look big enough to hold 333 choices of food?
No.
No, right?
It would be 666
What?
because it's 2 people per floor, right?
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh shit!
I'm sure with that many people.
Goddamn.
I
Uh-oh.
wouldn't even think about that.
Hmm.
But with that many people, there's got to be some duplicates. Like, probably like 10 guys chose the wine. They were like, okay, 1 bottle of wine.
Probably like 20 people were like steak.
Yeah. Yep.
Just
a
one
big
steak.
ol'-
one
Yeah.
steak. There you go.
Steak. Because I was wondering, I was like, what would I say if I was asked? I'd be like, steak, probably.
No, a pineapple, please.
Yeah, a pineapple.
Can I get like a cup of dressing?
Yeah. Also, they fed a guy
Mac and
broth
cheese.
in this movie who was like, broth is my favorite meal.
Like a nice.
Yeah, like
savory
how
broth.
like how complex can the plate get? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's your
there was
favorite meal?
lots of drinks, so then it makes you wonder, like, how many people are choosing like tea? Like, is there, when you're saying meal, are some people really like planning the whole meal? Like, I would drink this, I would have this as a side, I would have this as a main course, I'd have this as an appetizer, and I'd have this as a dessert, and an after coffee as well. Like,
Yeah, mint.
yeah, and then 5 to 8 Andes mints. That sounds like a great meal.
Yeah. Well, and definitely also like a 4-tiered cake.
Oh my god! Like, who picks
Cheese?
this?
Okay.
There's many cakes too. So like, how many people were like, my favorite meal is cake.
And, and imagine if the people who like the cake are always at the very bottom, so they're always it always looked like the cake was the thing getting stomped on the most. Like people
Oh my god!
did not give a fuck.
Fuck
Yeah.
your fucking
Yeah.
cake.
I would like to watch this movie again as
Also,
a
who-
drinking game for every time someone stomps on a cake.
Also, who picked the panna cotta?
Who picked the panna cotta? It was
Did-
a little girl.
Was it the man?
Oh, it's the
Like, the man, air quotes, the man picked the panna cotta.
What, like the old
wise
man in the
man?
wheelchair?
Oh no, I just meant like society,
Oh,
like like the
man,
people who run the facility.
Send the
you
man
know?
back his panna cotta.
Why can the woman be evil? What?
No,
There's
I
that
do-
meninist.
I do want to repose my question though, so we can talk about it because I can't let it go. For the wise man in the wheelchair, is the wheelchair his item?
That's a good question. And also, what did he do? I mean, like, are some of these people like conscientious, like, I don't even know, objectors or like,
What did the Baharat guy do?
Hmm?
Barat. What's his name?
Baharat?
There's no way
Baharat?
that guy volunteered.
No.
No,
Yeah, I don't think they said.
but I mean, but he had the wherewithal to ask for a rope, you know. And it's like, okay, how long is this his first day here? Because I can only imagine that could have only ever worked once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this can't be anything past his first month
Mhm.
in that place.
It must be because he's being put with what's his face after his last one dies.
Do they
Or,
always give you a fresh person? do
No,
you think?
I mean if 2 people's roommates die, they probably condense people.
I don't know, but I'm also wondering, to your point, because when the old man was killed, right? They did give him a fresh individual with the lady with the dog. Like
But
she
picked
just
him.
Huh?
But she picked
Oh,
him.
she
Oh,
picked
that's
him. Okay. Yeah, that is a little screwy then because, yeah. I don't know, because I don't understand exactly what the, like, symbolism in Baharat is per se.
Also,
I don't like this shitting on someone's face scene. What the fuck?
That was great.
that was,
Oh my god.
no, that was a super
Have
uncomfortable.
you ever
scene
seen
for me.
that in a movie
Clunk.
before? I don't think so, right?
I have not seen that in a movie before. Thank you. I was supposed to watch Osmosis Jones today. Supposed to have a nice afternoon, you know?
Yeah,
I
wow.
was
That
just worried that they were gonna drop
the colon
him.
control on that guy just be able to just drop one deuce and just ha
Gotcha.
I stress ate a half bowl of chips.
Yeah, I
In the
saw
first
you.
30 minutes of this film, I like wouldn't stop eating. I was like,
Hey,
what's
hey.
gonna happen?
You know, I think if we're gonna, I want to, do a little script doctoring when it comes to this allegory. I think one of the things that might have made it work a little better is if they would have shown that there are like prisoners that never go below a certain level. You know, like perhaps if you're well connected, right? You can always maintain yourself within like a certain threshold. Like, sure, you'll be punished, right? Like, society will always punish you if you do something evil, but because of your connections, you'll always be cushioned away from like the bigger, more extreme aspects that other people, through the random die. Because even if you want to give like the system like even just a little bit of like benefit of the doubt of being like everybody gets, the numbers just randomized every single time. It would, I think that would have, like stuck it in a little bit a little bit better, because then at that point, again, it goes to show that, the outside world, like even in a place as confined as inside of the cement pit thing, like the outside world still emanates in, you know what I mean? And who you are out there still can potentially like affect how you're confined, you know what I mean? And the severity of your confinement, you know what I mean? Because I mean, there's white collar prisons, you know what I mean? Like there's, and for good reason, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to just lump every criminal together, because not everybody is the same kind of severe criminal. But at the same time, I mean, there are already, it depends on how much you want to slice up discrimination or like the concept of like segregating people, right? It's like,
That's kind of what The Purge did.
yeah.
Well, the first one was kind of like the shock factor one, and then like the ones after were all like, let's tell you how it is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Next
how
is
it
just world building.
how it gets to be. Yeah, it's all world building after that.
I kind of don't. Yeah,
Depends,
there's
I guess.
the part of the thing that I like about this movie is that it's like, I don't know. It's a total loss at like, what does this mean? What's that ending mean? What am I supposed to pull out of this? Like, what's all this magic shit going on that doesn't make any sense?
Why didn't we watch Osmosis Jones?
I think, see, the movie
It's October.
keeps me from wanting to do that, even though that's like my natural inclination for most things, because I am so inclined to believe that it's just a tale, like literally just a bubble universe just floating out there somewhere that isn't actually connected to a bigger world that actually like, reverberates back consequences from having somebody in the pit, like.
Yeah, they completely cut that off. Like we didn't have. I think that was probably an intentional decision because they didn't give us anything to think about outside of the pit. Nothing. We didn't get any backstories. We didn't get like any understanding except for a little bit from Old Man.
Aside from the fact that there are TVs and there are advertisements, right?
If someone's watching like an infomercial, it's gotta be present day, right? Or earlier. You think infomercials will continue to?
Well, I mean,
exist
like he's an
forever?
old man, so I don't know. I mean, like he could have watched that at any point in time, right? And at the same time, who's to say he's not lying and he's a lifer? You know what I mean? He could have been there much, much longer, right? Killed
could be.
far, far more people,
Mhm.
because it seems like he's got it down to an art. You know what I mean? Like that man is like, I don't know if he came to realize that he wakes up before other people, you know what I mean, or whatever, but he's like on it. And it's been to the degree that he knows that there is a variability in people where it's like, listen, you seem like a nice guy, but in a couple days the hunger's gonna set in and we're gonna look at each other differently. Like
Yeah.
like no amount of ethics that you think you have inside of your head is going to like keep you from like potentially looking at an old man and wanting to take advantage of the situation,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm gonna just save us that little issue right now.
That was one of the first things he said when they woke up, is he said, "You're a lot younger and stronger than I am." And like, not unlike the eating of the guy slowly, but in terms of that, I would probably want to tie my roommate up too as like, a 5'3" girl. If it was like he was
Yeah.
a full grown man and I woke up first and I was on floor 170, I would be like, no, 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 no.
And I mean, as
I mean,
twisted as
waking up with a strange man in that situation in general, I'd probably want to tie him down.
Yeah, like I'm
Who
all
knows when's
hand
the
for
last time
you.
he saw a lady that wasn't that lady who's the mom.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
100%.
yeah, that's why I don't believe in like universal ethics in that way, right? Because it's all relative to the situation. Because the man was already privy to what was necessary to survive in his environment, and he was still trying to maintain like a modicum of like civility, essentially, to what he's to what he's doing. He's like, listen, we can maybe even get it to the degree that like I'll only eat all of your leg, you know, and maybe next month we'll get to a higher place and we won't have to eat each other, like who knows, like what in his twist, like how in his mind he twisted around, and rationalized it because he didn't want to be a monster, right? Like
Well,
the old man still wanted to keep himself, in a gentlemanly fashion of being like, listen, I'm gonna explain to you what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, and he was
and
even like, as much as we don't see it as like a nice thing, he was like, I'll save you a bite. But
and he
I,
did look through the table, right? So he wasn't doing it in a sadistic fashion, and it was shown that there literally was no food left on the table. Every single, like, he would check the table, he would fucking throw all the glass around, and then once he saw that there was nothing, he would go over. You know what I mean? And well, he hadn't started yet, but he would just keep reiterating the point to the guy. You know what I mean? Like, see, like these motherfuckers are, they're all evil, right? And I wonder, right, how at what threshold of the pit does that just become normal, right? Because it seems like after like the number 200 or 250, everyone was dead,
yeah.
right? Like there was like literally no one who was left alive after a particular number.
Well, and that's the problem too, because fasting for 30 days is feasible, but nobody wants to choose to do that because if you get put in a low level on number 2, on your second time around or the next room change and there's still no food, you don't have like the strength to do anything about it at that point. You're just gonna starve to death.
Also, you don't know what your partner's going to do.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
variability in health in terms of both people. It's like who's going to actually be able to carry on or whose psyche will break, because I mean, you can look as physically strong as possible, right? But I mean, in a moment of tenseness such as that, it's like, who knows when you'll actually snap. Just like the old man prognosticated, Gorn would. And honestly, I think the movie really lost me once the old man died because I really liked the dynamic between the two of them. Like,
Oh my god. If I heard obviously one more time, I was just gonna turn the whole fucking thing off.
yeah. I mean, that was pretty harsh. I
I
wish
thought
they
it
would
was
have done
cute.
something with that too. You know what I mean? Like there was just so many little things, dropped throughout the movie that could have been used as hooks, you know what I mean, to be able to extrapolate on the situation, but they just kind of just are left dangling as people die, you know what I mean?
I was thinking about what you had said sort of right at the beginning was how it just struck you as like overwhelmingly nihilistic.
Yeah, the end was for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But also like the sort of the whole message of the thing, right? Because the movie does on purpose not give us answers for almost anything. And it's incredibly violent
Mm-hmm.
and nonsensical throughout and horrifying. And
I don't think it's nonsensical because I mean
Well-
they do make it very obvious that people are trying to survive,
mhm.
and sometimes people can be led to sadism, right?
Well, the
But
main character was.
Right. So I mean maybe that's like, it I don't know. Maybe that's like this not the strength of the movie, but maybe that's like the message of like you
That's the message.
Yeah.
but I thought it was the terracotta thing. God damn it! I
Yeah,
gotta watch this.
terracotta.
No, not the. What's the name of the
Panna
the-
cotta.
Panna cotta. Thank you. Yeah, terracottas are those Chinese soldier things.
They're also
Right.
pots.
Yeah, pottery.
Yeah, when I think terracotta, I just think of terracotta Chinese statues.
Back to the movie.
Sorry, Matt. What were you saying?
Well, that's I don't know. It's just sort of like stream of consciousness thinking, maybe that's like sort of
Matt's
maybe
trying to
that's
find
like
the
the
message.
message of the movie of like, everything's fucked. It's all terrible, and
Oh, I think.
nobody's looking out for each other out there.
Oh yeah, it
You
seems
know.
totally nihilistic, especially if you consider that like if you consider the whole concept of the message, you know what I mean, as like a joke, right? Because the message at the end, they're literally pretty much saying the message can be anything. Oh, it can be this dessert. Oh, it can be this little girl.
Mhm.
Like it's like it's like the symbolism of something can just be so taken to such a weird degree. I thought that there's so many times where I thought the movie was just gonna get elevated, but it just didn't do it for me. Like for example, I again to try to stay with the allegory aspect. I thought that the Baharat guy, when he was clutching the dessert, I thought he was gonna kill the little girl. I thought that he had become so twisted in the conceptions of the symbology, right? Of being like, no, it literally is the dessert that is the message. That he would be so clouded by that, like because he was already shown to be a little bit of like a zealot, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That like in spending that much time going down, he becomes so twisted in what they were and what he thought they were actually trying to do that once they found an innocent, right, he couldn't even see past that and be like, no, like fuck this little girl, like it's about the dessert, right?
She tries to touch the dessert. I'm gonna bash her with my pipe like
Yeah.
everybody else.
Exactly. This little girl doesn't know how to share either.
Actually, she's been looking at it too long.
Yeah, see, and oh man, I was totally waiting for that to happen, and I thought that that's what was gonna happen when they did the twist. I mean, the next scene, but it was like just the little girl eating cake, and I was like, ah, just deflated it for me. Just absolutely deflated it because it's like, what? Then what's the point? I'm looking for the message again. Like,
You ate the message.
yeah. And is that supposed to also be symbolic and like an innocent inverse of the fact that Goron has the old man inside of him because he ate him, right? But the little girl has the dessert inside of her, so it's like a double message
Yeah,
situation.
she's the
I like how
pure
you
one.
keep casually trying to play off that you don't know the word panna cotta. You're like the dessert.
I don't want to call it terracotta again, and I will.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theme of this episode has been phoning it in and making up our own names for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the movie, you can. I mean, like, there's not that many people. I mean, the cast is
Mhm.
small. I'm sure you can keep along pretty easily. Yeah, I don't know. I wish there was more. I wish there was more to play around with.
Oh, possibly, yeah. Well,
It's completely fair feedback. It is an incredibly. I really think the value of this movie that they're trying to give to the viewers is very situational. It's like a mind experiment or something to watch it to think like, oh, what would I do in this situation as you go through the movie and keep being presented with more dire situations.
I will say something nice. This movie is interesting. And I do mean it in like a way where it's like I was definitely I wanted to know what kept happening. Like what was going to happen next, I should say. And actually one of the things that like irritates me the most, really, it truly is the ending because
Let down.
yeah, I don't like this this entire film we spend this entire time like building questions and zero of them are answered, or if they are answered, the answer is that we were wrong. Like how many
Yeah.
floors are there? 200 to 250. No.
Yeah, they do that intentionally too.
Like they give you an answer and then they're like, just kidding, that's not the answer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and what was the significance of that head chef guy with the yelling at the other guy for the hair?
I think that what that was just showing the care with which the food was made and like how almost militant they were about creating the food and making sure it was perfect and amazing, which is like ironic because everybody like steps on it and spits on it.
Or do you think it's like?
Pisses on it.
Do you think
Pisses
it's
on
like a play on the fact that the system is meticulous about the wrong things?
Well,
You know.
I think what it is maybe like, I don't know, the way that I see it is like they're like, we've given you the perfect meal, many of your favorite foods. If you could just look for what's for you and ration your food, you would all be good and potentially even happy.
If
I
that's
don't
the
know.
case, then I would definitely order a 4-tier chocolate cake.
You got to think
Ration my
calories,
food.
quantity over quality over quantity.
But the system doesn't allow for that because you can't ration past that one meal. You can't keep any food. You know what I mean? You can't be like, I am going to save like, veggies or something that keeps better in order to be able to like, go along. Like the system makes it so you are in a perpetual state of necessity.
I mean, that's a good thing though, a little bit, because otherwise, first floor would just empty the table, keep all the food. Nothing would ever travel down.
Okay. That's
But
fair.
no, would first floor do it though if the food comes every day?
Right. I mean, they would just
Probably.
be,
Did you see those shit
they
bags?
would just be absolutely,
But if that's how it starts from the beginning though, like, I don't know. I feel like if there is truly that kind of an abundance, like you'd run out of space. Like clearing that table every day and you're in there for 30 days, you'd
But
run
at
out of
least
space.
in the top like 10 to 20 floors, I don't think food would make it past that if people were able to hang on to it. Especially since they're only being fed one time per day. So, people who are coming in, especially voluntarily from the outside world, are going to be like, one meal per day. No, I'm going to grab some stuff for breakfast and some for lunch later.
that's fair. Yeah.
But even then, if you were reasonable about it, even after you grabbed the first one,
How many reasonable people did you see in this movie?
No, Hannah.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like,
Criminals are there and everything.
it's
too.
like, yeah, like the system
The riffraff.
manufactures the necessity, right? And then
Labeling.
pretty much keeps you from being able to find an answer within it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, because if you're right, I mean, like there would always be a problem of like people like hoarding food if you could keep some of the food. But it's like, but then at that point, you could also implement the hot, cold system of being like, you kept too much food. You know what I mean? Like you have like this, hoard of food, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like we took too much. So you have to like drop it into the table until eventually like everything like renormalizes itself and be like, okay, like that's how much food you can actually keep.
I literally thought about this stupid thing during the movie where, like, after one of his roommates died, I was thinking, could he take more food and use her clothes to bundle up and allow the room to refrigerate the food?
How long can I make it? Not bad.
Depends on how cold it gets.
Yeah. So do you want to do ratings? I'm pretty tapped out in terms of other things to think about the movie.
It's because I don't understand it. For the most part, like
I
just
think
so
you-
many questions.
I think you do. There's just not that. I think it's just kind of paper thin. It's just an allegory of inequality and also like the an individual just going through like delusions almost because of like blood loss and barbarity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he definitely didn't wash his face for that very long period of time. That was.
I really do think it's a part of the allegory, too, is what structures in society do to people and the way that they think about other people. Because I just heard a lot in this movie of, like, the ones above, the ones below, and the assumption is that the ones above don't give a shit about you.
And like it's complete like overgeneralization on both sides, right? It's like
It is.
depending on your number, that is exactly how you're supposed to think, because otherwise you're messing with the system to a particular degree. It's like there's an expectation of selfishness, from every individual in order for then the people at the bottom to justify their barbarity because they're like, listen, I'm going to kill you because I know for a fact that there's not going to be enough food coming down. And then it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. Because if they do shuffle people, being like, okay, so you get to be number 5 this month, but next month you're going to go real low down, to be able to like really get the differences, right? It's like the people who survive that, and then get to go back up are, if they're like Goran is like a complete like outlier in terms of what would happen, right? You just become worse at that point.
Well, and he did for a while, and then he cycled back after that one lady rooming with her. But I think it's interesting too because your place in the system changes monthly. And it's like stripped all other senses of value for them. Like all they care about at that point is what their number is on the platform wall. And that's what makes them better or worse than anybody else.
Yeah. So
That's the message.
yeah.
That's the message.
Hmm.
Yeah, Kim, start with you.
Oh God.
Now that
Did demand
now that you get it.
less.
Yeah, I stopped talking because I was sitting here trying to figure out exactly like what I would give this movie as a rating. 6 out of 10, I think, is actually where I'm going with it. Not
5.
horrible.
We go out of 5.
Oh shoot. Well then, I guess that's gonna be like a
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
2.5.
6 out of 10 is over half.
Oh, sure.
2.6 then.
Sure.
Still not. Yep, just barely.
That's enough.
That feels like a good number. I'm uncomfortable giving it a 3 if we're going out of 5. Yeah, 2.5 to potentially 2.7. 2.7. We're gonna call it a 2.7. Let's be optimistic about it because I did actually want to know what happened. Like I was never disinterested. It's gross. Just throw that out there. Super gross. I don't like food being abused in this way. People's toes on it and stuff like that. Like bloody. You're gonna like drip your blood and drool over it. I don't know. It's just too much.
People's toes.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. That's where we're gonna go with it. Yeah, that's it.
Kimmy, would you eat the toe food or would you starve to death?
Ooh, hard to say. I'd like to think that I actually like that guy. I actually might hold out for like a day or two. I can for sure go a couple days. Like I could potentially go 1 to 2 months eating very minimally, like giving in once or twice a week and like having like a handful of food. So I guess yeah, probably at some point I would give in depending on where I'm at. And I don't think I'd have one original thought in my head. And if I ended up on floor 1, I would probably eat until I fucking puked. But I actually would not puke
that's a
back
good
on the
question
table.
to go around the room with.
I would not puke on the table though. I would definitely try to walk my ass over to that sink or that toilet and puke there.
But you'd engorge yourself on floor 1.
If I was in floor 1, I mean like no matter where I was, day 1 to 3, probably yeah, I would probably eat until I would not be able to take it anymore. Because wherever you were
put
before,
a little bit of stress on that. Eating until you puke while other people are starving to death is extremely wasteful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I admire your honesty.
I mean, let's be real. Do you really think that I was on floor 3 and then on floor 1? No. It's probably very likely that I was on floor 7. We already know that floor 50, there's no... Where did he start? 70 something?
He said after floor 50, he stopped bashing people's heads in.
Well, yeah, but
for
that's...
trying to get
What
the
floor
food
did he
given up.
start with? Because there was still food on the floor that he started on. Goran?
6.
No.
No, the first
Oh,
floor
48.
was 30, 48, yeah.
Yeah, the first
Okay.
one was 48.
Oh, so it was still before 50. Okay. Yeah, so I mean...
There was a plenty
I
of
think
food.
it's-
on
But he
Considering
looked
there's
gross.
It looked gross.
333 floors, it's very unlikely that I was anywhere in the first 50 by the time I made it to the 100 or to the 100 to the 1. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by that. If I really was on floor 3 and then floor 1, it's very unlikely I would do that.
Slightly fresher food.
But once I got to floor 3 from floor 171 and before that being on floor 92, I probably would eat until I puked for a couple days because at that point oh my God, to have seen food, to really see full food for the first time in a couple months, to
And
smell it.
clean.
Yeah,
fresh.
for the most part, pretty fucking clean. Yeah.
I'm not judging you. I'm just,
Yeah.
I like to poke holes.
Yeah, you guys should answer the question too.
For what?
That's the end of my rating. Boom.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'd probably shit all over it.
Shit all over the food.
Yeah. Well, it's here's like an alternative.
I am
win-con
judging.
for the movie is how's this for a message? You just go down level by level and murder everybody.
Isn't that what the lady's doing? Isn't that what the
No, she
Asian-
only murdered like people that fucked with her.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll go next in terms of the rating. Because I still got a couple things that I want to say about what I didn't like. For example, I didn't like how quickly the killer lady died. She just was brushed off the film.
Yeah,
Just
super abruptly.
absolutely abruptly. It's like, okay, if she does go down every single day or as long as she possibly can, right? I mean, you'd think that she would have met this fate much, much sooner, you know? Especially if individuals are able to... Yeah, because the movie's just so inconsistent. Because it's like...
Mhm.
Like... because there are certain sections where they're like, yeah, like some people bring guns, some people bring bows, some people bring, like all of these like extra weaponry, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, where were those guys when these guys were going down with their little bed pole, you know what I mean, keeping people back? Like, I was expecting them to get shot at any moment,
I didn't
I
see
thought that
any
was
guns.
I thought that was gonna be a tie back, you know what I mean, to what the lady mentioned.
It was a samurai sword. That's something.
Yeah, I guess. My gosh, it's just so. Again, it just feels silly because I can, instead of using guns, which was already mentioned, right, which I think would have been able to at least tie that together, they go for something that, something that just can also be used, you know what I mean, like for like flashiness and like viscerality, you know what I mean, for more cuts and like more of like that kind of situation. It's just, I don't know. It feels, I don't want to. I use the word hammy too often, I feel, but it just feels like that, you know.
Also, like, people brought things as ridiculous as like a surfboard. And clearly some people coming in here had some idea of at least that it was going to be dangerous and you were going to have to do some things that suck.
Somebody brought a
But
violin.
I didn't see any like hot plates or coolers or
Well, you
like
can't keep the food.
You can't keep the
if
food
you
out. There's
kill
no
your
point.
roommate, you could cook it so you don't die.
You
I
can
don't think
cook
any.
it.
I don't.
Yeah, the food.
I don't think anybody goes in there with the intention of
The meat.
becoming a cannibal, though.
Right.
You know, so it's like, I don't think anyone's like, all right, well, just in case.
I mean, I think that guy did. I think old man did.
No, old man said that if we're to believe what he said, right, he slipped into cannibalism, because his first roommate died.
Why do you bring a knife?
Huh?
Why do you bring that
for
knife?
protection? I mean, he's the smartest guy. I mean, if he were genuinely sadistic, or if he were like a genuine
If.
killer, I feel, right? Like he would have, I feel, started trying to get the guy at level 48. Like there's no, unless he's like this, like a play with your food kind of serial killer. You know what I mean? It honestly felt like it was a last resort situation. Like the system literally put them in the position where now it is eat or be eaten. And he got the upper hand because he's more knowledgeable about how things work. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna have to give this one a 2. Just because it's, again, more of a tale than it is like a story, like the movie that I'm thinking about that is like the complete 180 from this is like Prisoners, because it's like that one was like a family, and then like a community, you know what I mean? So it's like there's like a roiling of like a whole bunch of different things happening, and then there's also like abuse from like decades ago that reverberate to the present, and it's like, and like the evils, like the banal evils of people, and how they like just keep reverberating through time, you know what I mean, and affecting people and stuff like that. And this one, yeah, it just seems too contained to try to be an allegory about the world. It's like, and yeah, it just doesn't jive with me in the same way that it didn't. Like, you guys brought up Mother perfectly. Like, it's exactly that same kind of feeling where it's like, where they're like almost like the people who made the movie almost didn't even really bother with like writing a story. They're just like, we're gonna make an allegory and we're gonna make it in a pit,
And it's gonna be in a pit.
Yeah.
I let the dog out. What was your rating?
A 2.
Honestly, yeah, I feel what you're saying. It's kind of similar to like a really linear video game.
Mm-hmm.
That ends badly.
Even worse, because I mean, like in a video game, at least you have the, some aspect of, being there in terms of like affecting the situation, right? In this one, it's like the guy can only ever end up at the bottom of the pit, and it's like, and were lessons learned, like.
Were they?
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, very muddled, especially because of the fact the allegories were so, in my opinion, kind of highbrow. You know what I mean? Trying to go for like social inequality, trying to go for like the randomness of the system. You know what I mean? Like all of those are, topical and, worth discussing.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't do it in a way that I feel actually merits anything that I can retain in my mind and be like, okay, like this will affect how I think about the real world. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't give us much left to take from it to think about things differently. It was more of a, I don't know, I guess an emphasis on what's already out there and what we already think about,
Mm-hmm.
or a different play on it.
So what'd you think on your second viewing?
I mean, for me, honestly, this movie is a 3, but my number tends to be more generous because I watch a lot of really bad horror movies trying to find a couple that are memorable. So for me, if a movie is something that I won't ever forget, it gets a 3 automatically. I agree with the holes that have been poked in this movie during this conversation. I do think it's super linear. Um, it's confusing. It is like the message, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really get what this movie is communicating other than maybe just that people are shitty, which leans into the nihilism aspect that we talked about. Um, but this movie is, like Kimmy said, this movie is entertaining. This movie holds your attention, and I watched it the first time about a year ago, and I have not forgotten it. So I give it a 3.
Nice. Yeah, sort of piggybacking off of both of you guys, Jose and Hannah. Jose, I agree. It totally misses the mark, and when it comes to those highbrow issues, honestly, I think this movie is better watched with your brain turned off. Like, then you just get to watch fucked up shit
You
and
should have
like
watched Osmosis
scary.
Jones.
But this is October, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably have to go with the 3 as well. There's nothing spectacular about it other than that it's super memorable. It's got a very unique setting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's kind of sci-fi-ish as much as it feels like present day.
I
Mhm.
was
do like the
really
platform.
waiting for them to lean into the sci-fi aspect. I was
Yeah.
like, I was waiting to get that extra star at the end when they went into the void pit. I was like, oh, this is an alien experiment. You know what I mean? Like I thought that.
That
Oh,
would've
this
been
man's been watching
cool.
American Horror Story with me. That's what his
Oh yeah.
mind's
Oh,
on
I mean,
right now.
yeah, or right, they could be like a twisted version of like the contact aliens. You know what I mean? Where they're like
Mm.
testing humans to a particular degree and being like, you guys are fucking up. You know what I mean? And we've like abducted 666 of you. You know what I mean? And we've put you in this situation. And yeah, like maybe they can, again, the movie already opens itself up to such craziness. They could be like, yeah, like everybody, like don't worry, like people don't die, like they get reconstituted or whatever, right? We're like with the lesson learned, you know what I mean? And we're trying to like teach people or whatever,
Mhm.
you know. But I don't know. I mean, as
Yeah.
it stands, it's nothing, you know. It's like it's either the man's like death dream, you know, or this really does go all the way down and cake is the message, you know. Is this supposed to be like a little funny portal thing where like the cake is a lie?
No, I think we can slap a bow on that review. Less filth, more aliens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less blood, honestly, too, please.
More Bill Murray next time.
Yeah. All these things.
Or make it or just pick a lane, really. I mean, because it's like because I thought for sure that we were looking at like a Saw situation, like a prisoner Saw situation, right? I thought that's what the movie was going to be about. And, you know, this man slowly being whittled away by this old man. Like
That would have been fun.
that's what I was being
I would have
primed
enjoyed
for.
that.
And I was
Fun.
like, fuck yeah, this
Fun, Hannah
this
says.
looks fun. You know?
When I was
And,
supposed to watch Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I mean, at the end of it all, it was just like, how about that social inequality, you know?
How about it?
We don't like it. Not a fan.
You shouldn't either. It'll get you.
Well, this has been fun regardless. I got what I wanted out of it and just making you guys feel uncomfortable. That's all I really care about.
At the
Oh.
end of the day, that is all I want as well.
Mhm.
That's what we started this podcast on, and that is what we will continue to force back into the podcast at every given opportunity. Sorry, Kimmy, that you were in the line of fire.
Yeah.
Succinct. All right. Well, this has been great.
Oh, I do want to say that I didn't talk as much in this one while we were watching it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think you talked at all during the movie.
Oh,
I thought that was because you were grossed out by it.
I talked a little bit, but yeah, no, I was grossed
Toxin might
out.
get in her mouth.
And I also was trying really hard. Yeah, I was eating for like the first 40 minutes straight. So that was hard to eat to talk during that.
We should actually not let Kimmy rate the movies, and we should create her rating based on how much she eats throughout the movie.
How uncomfortable was
Like,
she? Well,
in
there's a
minutes.
half bowl of chips left, and we're 35 minutes into the film.
I wouldn't have been able to guess 2.7 out of that though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is
Let me
Kimmy's
count the
actual
chips.
rating
Count
is
the
not
chips.
reliable.
So
Also,
good.
she's using the wrong things to rate the movies. The first word when she was asked what she thought was gross.
Gross.
No one asked me, actually. It was very quiet down here. Jose went to go let the dog out, and I was just like, gross.
Gross.
Gross. Ew, David.
Ew.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm glad I watched the movie.
Good.
That's something.
Better luck next time, guys.
We'll get there.
No.
One gross movie at a time. We'll get there. Man.
We'll find what gets under everybody's skin.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Later.
Next time.
Ooh, ooh.